Can you imagine? I would have been sitting here talking to a camera where no one was on the other side of it. Anyway, it's just one of the start to the morning. I've had a good morning. I've had a good start. It's just a funny old start this morning. Anyway, so hello Facebook. Yes, I've jumped on to do some training. I'm so well, Ines. Thanks for asking. I hope you're well too. It's been a little while since I've seen you. I hope everything's going well with the stuff. I don't want to talk about, obviously I'm going to talk about the stuff. Do I crack you up, Lynn? I crack myself up sometimes. Yeah, this morning I've upset someone again this morning, another person on the dating apps. Straight up conversation. At least it clears them out, hey? Just clears all the debris out. Yeah, the stuff that's blocking your view of what's actually there out of your eyes. Straight up and yeah. Anyway, hello, Libby. Good to see you. Nice to see you. So, yeah. Lynn says, "Oh dear." Yeah, well, it's good. It's fine. I'm not sorry. It's all right. It's not a drama. That's for sure. It's more funny than anything else. So stopping by today to do kind of like a mini training. Oh, you're a bit down at the moment. Oh, I'm sorry, Ines. I'm actually not going to. Well, I might do card readings at the end. Just depends. But I'm going to give you a bit of training with your cards. So, yeah, I'm going to do some training today, and then I may do some readings at the end. Just depends on how much time I've got. And then, I'll see how I go. But I wanted to share some insights with you around tarot and how to ensure that you get clarity in your readings. Now, look, there is definitely a myth that's going around that, and people presume it's based on false advertising as well as, for use of a better word, bullshit artistry. Hi, Natasha, where psychics pretend to know you better than yourself, or clairvoyants will tell you that they know more about what's going on in your life, and they're sort of talking at you a bit like a monologue, telling you everything about you, presuming to have more knowledge than you do, being able to read your mind, all of that sort of stuff. And part of my business message, or my message around what I share and the courses that I run, is best practice. And that kind of, well, it's absolutely not best practice, because it's a myth and it's not true. So part of my message and in what I teach and how the work that I'm contributing to the tarot or the clairvoyant or the intuitive arts is, we can't read each other's minds. So let's learn how to do best practice. So that's my, part of what I'm showing up for today. I want to go through the 22 cards, the major arcana with you. And I'm going to tell you what all the rites of passages are of the major cards. And I'll explain what that is in a minute. And what that does, if you understand the pattern of the major arcana, if you understand the journey of the major arcana. Now I'm going like this because it's the hero's journey. I won't go into detail about that. We talk about that heavily in the course, but it's the hero's journey. So if we understand the pattern of the major arcana, then you can predict with more accuracy outcomes based on the lessons of the cards, of the major cards that have come up in a reading, which means that you don't have to try and pretend to be psychic. It means that you can, accurately describe life lessons in a way that your client can make sense of and incorporate the lessons and the teachings and the insights, the medicine of the card, to enhance and to create positive changes in their lives, to use the medicine of the cards, to use the medicine of the archetypes. So it speaks to their soul, and they get to interpret it on their terms, in their own, obviously based on their own personal experience. Now, this is not to deny that there is such a thing as being psychic and intuitive. Of course, we're all intuitive. We all have a navigational, like an internal navigational tool. You could call it your gut and your heart, and obviously your brain, enables you to cognitively plan and strategically plan your future. But at the end of the day, I believe our intuition, our psychic awareness, our intuition is really about you becoming a creator of your own experience, and that it's much more powerful or what we would like to do in a therapeutic setting or in a tarot setting is to empower our clients to become creators of their experience, to learn how to trust themselves. And so look, by virtue of your position as you sit in the position of a therapist or a tarot reader, your clients are going to they're going to hand over their power. So it's really important, I believe, it's best practice as readers that we find ways to balance that distribution of power so that your clients leave the session feeling empowered and in touch with their instincts and their deeper knowledge. I could talk about this topic forever. And not everybody, I think a lot of people on the whole are generally looking for a quick fix because, it is hard. It is difficult to face life's challenges and to do the work that's required of you to move through these challenges. And so sometimes people will go sort of psychic shopping, looking for a reader that's going to give them the answer in the hope that is going to fix their situation. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So best practice for a tarot therapist or a tarot practitioner is to collaborate with your client, to include your client's voice in the conversation. So they get to come up with their own personal insights as well, based on the situation that they find themselves in, that enables them the confidence and the self-efficacy to be able to make decisions and to trust themselves to move through those challenges with more courage. And so yes, I understand. I do get why people want to have a quick fix. We all do. Wouldn't that be nice, right? Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, nonetheless, I should introduce myself. So if you've just joined this morning, my name is Marina Lobas, and I refer to myself as your soul purpose mentor, and I support intuitive and spiritual entrepreneurs to monetize their passion to purpose, creating programs and services that sell out. And I teach channeling and I teach tarot. And today I'm going to take you through the journey of the Fool to give you some insights on how to deliver a tarot reading or read your own tarot cards with more accuracy when you understand the journey of the Fool. So I'm going to go through that today. That'll be fun. You'll love it and you'll be surprised. You'll learn a lot just from, if you don't know much about the tarot, you'll learn a lot just by looking at the journey of the Fool. So, before I start, I'm going to put a link in the comment. Oh, have I done that yet? I hope I have. I'm going to put a link in the comment. Yeah, there it is, in the comment section there. I've still got a few spots open for my 10-week tarot practitioner training. And it's for those of you, you can be a novice or you can be an expert in tarot. It doesn't matter. You'll still learn a lot. I'll take you through the psychology of the cards, as well as teaching you how to do soul readings, do psychic soul readings, but it is based on tarot psychology. And everybody has loved the course. They've thoroughly enjoyed it. And part of the practice that we do in the course is learning how to build rapport with your inner being, with your inner self, so that you can draw on the knowledge and the insights from your unconscious, someone's trying to ring me, I hope you're still there, from your subconscious or your personal unconscious, which actually holds your fate. It's the key to your destiny. If you can access your personal unconscious and have a great rapport with your inner self, you become a powerful creator and you get to receive insights about your future. People are messaging me this morning, COVID messages. Anyway, okay, so now let me, so the course starts on the 5th of May. It'll be a Thursday evening, 6 p.m. AWST, which is Perth time, Eastern States time. It's 8 p.m. And yes, it runs over 10 weeks. And it's packed with bonuses in there as well, which I'll talk about later. Let's just get started on this. I've only got one person on Facebook. That's really unusual. I usually have about, 30 people on, but everybody wants their free readings, I think, and because I'm not doing free readings right now. I'm glad I thought to check Instagram. I'm needing your wisdom today. Oh, thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. Jack's doing my 9-month tarot therapy training at the moment. We've had some great tarot experiences together. Jack also did the intro to tarot, which is how she discovered the 9-month. Didn't want it to end, did you, Jack? Okay, let's start with the Mythic Tarot and the Hero's Journey, or the Journey of the Fool. So I'm going to take you through each card, one card at a time, so you can see the pattern. I want you to notice the pattern. We'll talk about the pattern soon. So if we think of the Mythic Tarot, or we think, well, let's move away from the notion of the Mythic Tarot, but if we think of the Tarot or the Major Arcana as rites of passage, you've lost the sound. Oh, have you? Oh, Christ. I might reboot on Instagram. I'll do a reboot, shall I? I'll do that. I'll reboot. I'll be back. That's because someone rang. I'll reboot. Delete video, discard. Live. Oh, I'll put something more mystical on. Sorry, guys, it won't be a second. What happened? That was a nice... There we go. Right, rebooted. Rebooting on. Hello, it's a new live. I got someone rang and I got booted. The sound went. It's a nice. I've got a really nice filter on my. Look, I look about 25. It looks really good. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to take you on a journey of the fool. So first of all, so the Major Arcana are what I would call rites of passage. Now, what do I mean by that? These are archetypal experiences, psychological experiences that teach you about yourself, and they are experiences that we can all relate to, human experiences that we all have in a lifetime. We're not exempt from these. We're not. Everybody will have similar experiences, obviously in your own unique way, based on the family and your own, the context in which you find yourself. But these are psychological experiences that grow us, that deepen our connection to ourselves, and also provide us with wisdoms and insights, and give us developmental experience as well. So the Mythic Tarot and the Journey of the Fool in the Mythic Tarot is different. It is different to the Rider-Waite. It's numbered differently, and it is based on the hero's journey. And Joseph Campbell coined I won't talk about that now because it would be too much information, but nonetheless it is different to the Rider-Waite. And so these psychological experiences are what I call the fates. These are the fates of the experiences of life that are fated to happen. And timing around that will be based on your free will, your willingness to take risks and to do the things that take you, that enable you to have these lived experiences. And of course, also sometimes it's based on chronicle age too, because these cards, the Journey of the Fool is based on chronicle age as well. So it's developmental, chronicle age, as well as we can have an experience of the Fool over and over and over again in a lifetime. And we deepen every time we go through these archetypal experiences. We deepen our experience to it. We get to know it. We get to know ourselves more deeply. We get to understand this archetypal experience more deeply each time we go through that journey. So, okay, let's start with the Journey of the Fool. And yes, so he is, I would describe him as you being with no particular destination. This is you being reborn or rebirthed out of the cave, the beginning of a new chapter. And the Fool represents you are everything, you are everywhere, you are everything and you are nothing. You're not wearing sort of any clothes yet. You're not cloaked with any persona yet. You are at the very beginning of a journey, and it represents you taking, risks, taking a leap of faith, not knowing what direction you're going in. You might think of this card like the eternal backpacker, where there's no real destination. It's just you're following instincts, you're following your hunches, your instincts, and you're jumping on a plane and you're planning to go anywhere. It doesn't matter where. All paths lead to God's temple. There's no correct path or incorrect path. There are just paths. And so this is the beginning of the journey. We all have this experience of starting a new chapter, starting again, starting a new chapter in life, a new beginning. We've all had experiences of that. Yeah. So the next card, I wonder if it's, just looking on Facebook, I wonder if it's actually linking in. I'm having a few problems with the lives. Oh no, it's there. Okay. Yeah, so the next card is the Magician. So the Fool jumps off the cliff, he takes a leap of faith and he takes a risk. Okay, so he takes a risk, he jumps off the cliff, and then he lands at the crossroads. And so the Magician represents life showing you signs, life showing you the way. You take the risk, you take a leap of faith, and then life shows you the way. And you're at this crossroads, and the Magician will show you signs. This is your inner miraculous energy being manifested outside of you, showing you signs. Oh, for God's sake. Better block this person, block user on Facebook. Can't be bothered with that stuff anyway. So yes, okay, so the magician, if we think of him like an external, like a magician that you would see at a show, and he's performing, and we are the we're the audience. We're watching our inner magic being performed outside of ourselves, being projected outside of ourselves. The feather that falls from the sky, the book that crosses our path, the Instagram post that's posting a course, or the person who you bump into at the train station, who then leads you to your next destination. So he represents the sign. So the Fool takes a leap of faith. He doesn't know where he's going. He jumps off the cliff. He takes a leap of faith, and he lands at the crossroads. And the Magician then guides him through signs. And so these signs are those coincidences, those things, those coincidences that we take for granted, that we think are just coincidences, but actually they're synchronicities. Life is what's the word? Collaborating with you, and sharing, like supporting you, leading you, showing you the way. Okay, so maybe we can think of the Magician as your guide. Then the Fool then discovers he has to take care of his body and nurture himself, feed himself, nourish himself, and he also discovers that there's a cosmic order, or there's like a cosmic there are cycles to life, and there's a divine timing, and there is life is seasonal, and we can't rush growth, and that there's patterns. There are seasonal patterns that have there's a cosmic order, and that we can't work against. We can't work against this cosmic order that's life. We can't push against it. So maybe we can think of this card like a pregnancy, right? This is like a new beginning is birthing, and the timing of that is divinely timed. And like a pregnancy, you cannot rush a birth, right? You can't rush it, because if you do sort of use medical intervention, to rush the birth, you're likely to create, potential problems. So this is like a plant. It has its own timing with growth. We can nurture ourselves, feed ourselves, nourish ourselves, but we can't force growth. That has to happen in its own timing. The next journey the Fool then takes is he then starts to realize that life is also based on values and ethics, and there are structures, there are laws, there are man-made laws that we have to work with as well, societal laws that we have to function in. It's not just sort of seasonal and just based on the cosmic order. There are also man-made laws that we have to work with, and one of them is economics, making money, having to pay bills, getting jobs, all of that sort of stuff, going to school. The institutions, there are institutions around us that are teaching us philosophy and knowledge and how to manage our everyday external life. Societies that we live in, culture that they impose values, and we become conditioned by that, and we have to learn to navigate through this man-made society that we live in to survive. Then the fool discovers he also has an inner reality. He has an inner life. And this inner life is based on his connection to his inner being, his personal unconscious being his dreams, his fantasies, dreaming at night. He goes to sleep and there's this inner reality that he's not just having an external experience. There's an inner experience that he's exploring, and this is his psychic intuition, his knowledge. He has psychic experiences. He's able to predict. He receives messages from his intuition, and he can predict some of his future. And this card is also learning to develop rapport with your subconscious. He discovers there's an inner being, and he's developing rapport with this inner being. Then the fool discovers spirituality. He discovers that he is a soul, having a human experience. And he now discovers there's something greater than himself. There's a connection to source that he didn't know. He didn't realize he had. There's a connection to something greater. He feels called. There's a calling to something greater than himself. And so the fool then journeys, like learning about spirituality. He also discovers that that life isn't just joy, it's also suffering. And in fact, that suffering takes him to a very deep place where he can touch God there. He gets to know himself on a very deep level. So sometimes we can think of this card as maybe potentially there's all sorts of aspects to this card. I'm giving you brief aspects, but you could potentially think of this card as being like getting to understand the wounding that you experienced from your childhood. Because we're all wounded from our childhood, the wounding that we've experienced from our childhood, and that becomes a portal for medicine, for growth, that we can then use those lessons, as teachings to provide us with wisdoms about who we want to be and who we don't want to be and who we're becoming. They become spiritual teachings. But this card isn't about spiritual dogma, but you might find with this card, the fool discovers that, he has, maybe he's becomes a Christian, or maybe you start to follow Buddhism, but you start to develop spiritual beliefs about life. The next card. So the fool now is starting to mature. Hello, Katrina. The fool is now starting to mature, and he's now, we could think of this card in terms of chronological age. He's now starting to mature, and he's having relationships. He's living in a relational world. We are relational beings, and we get to know ourselves through the relationships that we're having. So he's now developing, relationships, and he's learning from these relationships. And this is somewhat of a card, somewhat of a difficult card, because perhaps in the Rider Waite, people will often read this card in the context of new love coming in, and it's all sort of love and light. But in the Mythic Tarot, we're looking at the conflicts that evolve, that grow, that happen in our relationships based on the poor choices that we make, or the unconscious choices that we make in relationships. Oh, beautiful. Katrina says she's watching from the beach, having a self-care day. That's beautiful. Yeah, so this card is about those relationships that we attract, that teach us about who we are and what we want and what we don't want. And so the fool is now learning how to navigate his relational world. And then, yes, he matures a bit more, and he realizes that he has these instincts, these drives, and he has to learn how to control some of these drives and these instincts, that it's not always appropriate, to have an affair with the married man or the married woman, or learning to make choices based on balancing these internal instincts, which create conflict. But it is also the card of being the carrier of experiences. So the fool now moves away into a more independent world where he's getting to know himself. The Chariot becomes the carrier of experiences, where he gets to explore his life, but from a much more mature perspective. He's learning how to balance his emotions and his feelings, but also he's following the calling, where he's being called on his journey. Then the fool must learn that the the balance of mind and impartial thinking. And this is also, this card also represents his creative intelligence, his ability to pass judgment. Yes, we all judge, we all make judgments, but to judge his reality, to make wise choices based on judgment, just like, walking through a door, we have to judge the height of the door so we don't smack our head on the door or on the, through the doorway, so we don't hurt ourselves, right? So he's learning to use his cognition, his thinking brain, in a way that's going to give him wisdom so that he makes decisions that are based on right action. And yes, you might think of this card as maybe having some sort of moral lesson. He's learning how to just, he is learning about the moralities of life for sure, and justice and injustice, what's fair and what's not fair. We've all been a perpetrator, we've all been a victim, we've all been a rescuer, we've played all of those roles, and there's a price, and you learn with this card there's a price to pay, based on the decisions that we make. He's learning about that. So wisdom becomes very important. Thinking about your decisions, the balance of heart and mind. Okay, so then the Fool learns that he has an emotional reality. He does, he feels, he has a heart, and he has compassion, and he has empathy, and he's learning how to be in touch with his emotions, that there is a somatic world he can feel. He has an embodied feeling experience, an emotional experience as well. But this is also the conscious awareness of him being guided by a guardian angel, that there is a conscious awareness that he's been guided by something, whether you think that's light or a spirit guide or your higher self. And this higher self has a consciousness, and this consciousness exists in his heart, and he can feel. But this card also represents learning forgiveness, learning to have mercy for himself, for the mistakes that he makes, some of the decisions, the poor decisions that he's made. He's learning to be gentle on himself, to have compassion and mercy over choices. And it is a relational card. It is the enmeshment that sometimes we find ourselves in relationships. We can get lost in our emotional world. But it is about feeling. Feeling is healing. He learns that to heal, he's got to feel as well, to express his emotional world. So then the Fool then discovers he has an identity. Oh, actually, okay, so there's a separate me. There isn't just me involved with people. There's a me. There's a me that exists outside of my relationships. There is a sovereign being. I have a sense of agency. There's a me, myself, and I. And there's a healthy ego here. I have my own unique identity, and I have boundaries. This is my space. This is your space, and this is essential. This is essential. We all have to develop these boundaries to create a sacred space, to create the kind of life that we want for ourselves. And he learns that there is, he gets angry, and he has these difficult, big, rageful emotions, and they happen when we transgress our own boundaries or when people violate our boundaries as well. So he's learning how to manage his emotions and his world, his internal world, through creating space between himself and others. And it's also giving him this sense of resilience, this ability to be able to deal with his own psychology and his own emotional reality. So this is a great card. A healthy ego is important. It's important in our psychological journey to develop this healthy ego so that we have the courage to be able to face the challenges that are ahead of us. Life isn't just, life doesn't just go in a straight line. There are challenges that we're faced with. Then the Fool is met with the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is about... the Hermit is what I would call the card of the existential crisis. This is the Fool now starting to realize that, or starting to contemplate on the choices that he's made, and he's questioning his reality. Is this the life I really want? Is this the meaning I want in my life? Are these the relationships? Is this the job, the employment that I really want? Am I really living true to myself? Is this who I really am? All of these questions start to come up. It's the card of the reality check. Am I really being true to who I am? Now, just quickly, so if you've just joined, I'm taking you all through the journey of the Fool, because if you understand the journey of the Fool, then you understand, well, it makes it really easy to make predictions when you're reading for people, because you can predict what's likely to come next in somebody's life based on the rite of passage, what they're currently learning. So if you follow the pattern, if you learn the pattern of the major arcana, which is what I'm teaching you today, if you learn the pattern of the major arcana, then you'll be able to make predictions with more accuracy about what's likely to unfold for your clients. So that's what I'm doing today, and you learn more of this in my course, of course. That's what I'm here for, to teach you more about that. Anyway, so yes, this is the card of the existential crisis. So this is when we're questioning our reality. It's a reality check. And it is also about mortality. The Fool starts to realize, actually, I'm going to die. I'm walking to my death. We're all sort of walking each other home to our death. I know that sounds really depressing, but that's kind of what happens with this card. We start to realize that we're aging. We have aging bodies and we're going to die. And what the fuck am I doing with my life? That's like the question that you start asking yourself with that card. So that existential crisis then precipitates a crisis, right? The wheel turns. A crisis event happens. Now, sometimes the crisis can be, crisis is a big word, but sometimes the crisis can be a positive outcome. Sometimes it can be what we might presume to be a negative outcome, or discomfort, or something that we don't want to deal with. The Wheel of Fortune represents those curveballs in life that we don't really have control over, that life throws a curveball and then we've got to manage it. But it is also representing the fate that we create through the choices that we've made unconsciously. And then it comes to hit us in the face. We're met with the experiences that we've created unconsciously, meaning based on patterns that we are unaware of, psychological patterns that we're not fully aware of. So the Wheel of Fortune, it precipitates change. It's a precipitator of deep transformation. And look, I remember this card coming up a couple of years ago. I was doing a Sunday night report, and this card came up, and I was talking about it in a really sort of light-hearted way. And you're a collaborator of life's journey, and life is happening to you, and life is happening through you, not to you. And then within 24 hours, somebody that I knew, grew up with, had passed away. It's kind of like the curve. That's not the only curveball, but that's the kind of curveball that the Wheel of Fortune can throw at you. Events, like crisis events that will change the course of your destiny, will change the course of your life and the lives of others around you. It's a big card, Wheel of Fortune. It's not always that full on though. It can be like job offers, exciting job offers, and that sort of stuff. So yes, and then the Fool is then having to make sacrifices. So this crisis event has happened. And so now he has to make some decisions that are going to impact on not just his life, but the lives of others around him. So now he's having to make a sacrifice. And this isn't the card of self-sacrificing or martyrdom. This is the card of stepping into his personal leadership. He is on the precipice of life and death, on the precipice of deep transformation. And he knows the decision that he's going to make is going to cause, difficulties, challenges. There's going to be some suffering. There's going to be some pain with this. And he's aware of that, not just the pain for himself, but the pain for other people. But he knows it is right action. And so we've all been in that position in our life when we've had to make those really uncomfortable decisions and take action on things that we just don't want to do, but we know we must. We know it's right action, and it's awful, it's uncomfortable. He's suffering, he's in pain. This eagle comes down and it's pecking at his liver during the day, and then at night the liver is like regenerating, but he's going through this suffering. We've all been there. We've all been there. It's not nice, is it? Anyway, so then the Fool. Okay, so now he's moved from this being on this precipice, going from unconscious to conscious to now now going into the realm of death. He's gone into the underworld. The Fool is now meeting Hades, the dark underlord of the underworld, where he is facing death. He's facing the finalities of situations that no longer serve you, situations that are no longer for your highest good. And so it is a card of difficulties for sure, difficulties in the context of having to come to terms with finalities. Yeah, there is no negotiation with Hades. You cannot negotiate with Pluto. What's done is done, and you've got to reconcile that it's over. You've got to reconcile that it's finished, and you've got to go through the mourning, go through the grief, go through the challenges, the difficulties that, coming to terms, reconciling, coming to terms that you've got to face this. You can't go back. It's finished. It's probably one of the most difficult cards to deal with. People kind of gloss over this card. They do gloss over it, and they usually want to skip. They usually want to bypass the grief process, bypass the difficulties that one encounters when they are faced with the finalities of life. And they usually go, oh, the sun's shining, love and light, the sun will shine, it's a new beginning. Well, you cannot skip the death part. You can't skip that part. So it's a difficult card. And so what happens with the Fool then, after that, the Fool then is met with the Devil. So what is the Devil? The Devil is the shadow. He then has to face his darker aspects as he moves into Hades' realm. He's now looking at the parts of himself that he doesn't like. In this card, it is also the repressed memories and childhood memories, and the ways in which psychological patterns of behavior that have contributed to the situation that you find yourself in, that have held you back or that have led you down this path where you are now in the underworld with Hades, dealing with the discomfort of death. And the Devil card, there is such a thing. There is such a thing as a positive shadow, because it is also the parts of you that you've been holding back or repressing because of this life that has been, the finality, this life that no longer serves you, the way in which you might have been holding back or not being in the full expression of who you are. It is the card of dealing with addictions and the things that you've been doing to avoid yourself, or, hypersexuality, or, drug addiction, smoking, drinking, all the things that we do. I mean, we're all human. This is the card of human behaviors, the things that we do to prevent ourselves from, or distort our reality, to prevent ourselves from feeling the discomforts, the pain that exists within us based on our childhood and our hurts, the things that we've endured in our life. So, yes, so the Fool now has to face himself. And then there is an outgrowth. He starts to outgrow these psychological prisons that he created for himself, these man-made beliefs, these ideas, these psychological structures that are neither natural or innocent. These are ideological structures, ideas, beliefs that he's made up about reality that are just made up. And he's now breaking free from that. He's starting to see, dropping the mask, dropping these ideas that he's had about himself and life that no longer serve him. See, he outgrows himself. This is the card of evolution, of growth. It is, sometimes we talk about this, or I talk about this card as the dissolving of reality, the dissolving of one reality, and the tower's got to fall first. The relationship has to fall. The employment, the masks that you've been wearing to hide your true nature have to dissolve, before you can get in touch, before you can be with this more authentic version of who you are. Sometimes this is the card of the Fool is met with God's hand. God strikes. Oh hi Shannon, I'm so glad you're here. And as the God strikes his hand, lightning strikes. And yes, and we are dealt a hand that we didn't expect. Sometimes I explain it like this: it could be right, the relationship that you're in. You might be getting the vibe that things are off, or that there might be something deceptive happening, and your partner goes to have a shower and they accidentally leave their phone open, and then all of a sudden you go there and you open the phone because you can't help yourself. You've got this feeling, and then you see text messages from their hidden lover. It's sexting or whatever it is on there. But yeah, and so the tower falls. Like, God plays his hand. He shows you the truth. Or she, he, it, whatever it is. The ineffable shows you the truth, and so you can't avoid the truth anymore. So it's a difficult card. People get scared of the tower card when they see that come up. So then the Fool, the tower falls, and what's left is the naked truth. So the Fool is left now, in the truth of his being. And this is represented by Pandora. It's such a beautiful card. It is the naked truth. It is about connecting to your inner star, to your soul, to the truth of who you are. And there is this kind of cosmic, you realize that there is this temperance shows up, that your personal guide, and there you realize that there is this cosmic order, there is this divine intelligence that is supporting you. And you might not know what the future holds now, but you feel there's hope and there's faith. You feel that everything is going to be okay. You trust that everything will work out, that everything will be okay, but you just don't know what it looks like yet. You can feel it, but you can't see it. It's an inner light. It's an inner star that you can't see outside of yourself, but it's guiding you. Then the Fool is moving through the transition now. So this card gets romanticized in the tarot and around, circles, goddess circles. They all sort of romanticize the moon. Let's do rituals to the moon and all that sort of stuff. But the moon is a very, it's an emotional card, but it also, it creates illusions. The moon casts a light at night and creates shadows, and trees can look like, the leaves of the trees can look like different things, look like scary things. And this is the card of the spiritual crisis. So, once the tower has fallen and the Fool now has this sense of who he is, he does start to have this spiritual crisis, like, where am I going? What am I doing? I don't know. I can't see properly. I don't know what my next step is. I know what I want, but it doesn't feel like it's going to happen. It's the transition. So it's like there's an inside job first. You have to do the inner work first before it can manifest externally, before it can manifest outside of you. So the Fool is doing this kind of, it's like a caterpillar in the chrysalis. It's a divinely intelligent process. He's doing this inner work first. There's a recalibration that's happening. I'm just thinking about some of the coaches out there. They say in their posts now, come and calibrate with me. It's so revolting. There's no such thing as you calibrating with somebody else. It's an inside job. There's an inner recalibration that the Fool is doing now, and it's in preparation. He's about to rebirth. So then the Fool, finally the Fool, the light shines and the Fool can see the way. Everything becomes clearer now. The sky has cleared. There's no rain anymore. You can see clearly. This card represents Apollo, is represented by Apollo. Apollo is an oracle. He's an oracle for your future, but your future self doesn't exist outside of you. The Fool realizes that the future self is happening now. It's happening within him now, and he has to start making decisions based on this future self that actually exists within him to produce that reality in this present moment. So he starts to realize there's no such thing as past, present, and future. It's all happening now, and he wakes up. And it is about, being in touch with the creative child, the inner child, and to become the creator, to look for joyful experiences, to start creating experiences based on his heart, based on play, based on joy, to become a creator of his experience. Then the Fool, he is met with his past. Okay, so he's about to go through his rebirth, but first of all, he has to cut ties to his past. So this card is different to the Death card. You might think because he's going down into Hades' realm that he's now dealing with the shadows again. But this time he has an inner resilience because of the work that he's done. He has the psychological resilience to be able to face his past in a way that enables him to cut ties. He's not affected. He's not affected by it in the same way that he would have been, when he was in Hades' realm with the devil in the tower, that He doesn't have that same emotional effect. So now it's about cutting ties to the past, letting go, so that he can now move forward into this on the precipice, of being rebirthed. This is the card of self-actualization. This is the card, the end point that we all want to get to as we move through the hero's journey. The point where we finally understand what it was all for, what it was all about, what lessons we learned. This is the pearl. This is the pearl that comes at the end of the journey, when we've done the hard yards, when we've had the reality check, when we've faced the difficulties. And yes, and we've grown. It's the card of evolution. And it is the card of having learnt lessons. You get it. The lesson has been learned, or the lessons have been learned. You get it. And you won't make those same mistakes again. It's been fully integrated as the totality, in the totality of your being. It's higher consciousness now. It's this understanding that you are everything and nothing. And yeah, you have this connection to source. And it's, you're self-actualized. There's this, and we all have moments of that. Moments. I was going to say, moments. We don't have it like 24/7. We sort of move in and out of consciousness. But this is that moment of being conscious of getting it, understanding the nature of your reality and the nature of your life. So what happens after this card? What happens is we're met with the Fool again, and it's a rebirth, and we start a new chapter in our life. So that's the journey of the Fool. Now, if you understand the journey of the Fool, if you learn about the major arcana and the journey of the Fool, and if you understand it, you'll be able to make predictions in your readings with clarity and accuracy, because it is a psychological journey. And if you understand that psychological journey, you'll realize that we all go through the Fool's journey over and over and over again in a lifetime, through every challenge, every new chapter. It's the same pattern. It's exactly the same pattern. And if you understand that pattern, if you learn that pattern inside out, you can then read with accuracy for your clients and give them legitimate insights, rather than trying to pull shit out of thin air, making up stories that are irrelevant or untruths for your clients. And you don't want to be doing that, right? We all want to do best practice. Yes, so that's it from me today. I don't think I'm going to do any free readings today, but I wanted to share that with you. Of course, I've got my course, and it starts on May the 5th. You will learn about that, and obviously so much more. I do give a lot in my tarot trainings. This introduction to tarot is practitioner training, meaning that you will develop your readings, your ability to read for yourself and others, and you'll be able to charge. I'm going to teach you the psychological portals to each of these cards, including you get to be part of my membership portal. You get to keep the content forever. That means that you can redo the course as many times as you like. Plus, you get to receive all the upgrades that I do to the course, which I'm always upgrading it. We're currently upgrading it now. You get to receive all the upgrades. Plus, I include my group business mentoring package, which is valued at $666. You get the trainings, all the trainings for that as well, for free, to support you to launch your tarot business. Yeah, amazing. I was looking at my books. I don't really like talking about money, but I was looking at my books. I was a bit scared because I got COVID and I was really unwell, and I was thinking, gosh, business hasn't been as amazing I thought. But I've already made as much as what I made last tax year, and this tax year hasn't even finished yet. The intuitive arts and tarot is a lucrative business if you understand how to read the cards intelligently. And that's what I want to teach you. So that's it from me. I hope you've had an amazing session with me. I hope you loved it. And yes, the link is in the bio and the link is in the comments. In the comments, I'll put another link in to join the tarot program course, practitioner course. It's there. It'll all be recorded, so you can go back and watch it as many times as you like. It's such a good deal. There is an easy pay plan, and I'm going to head off. So have an amazing day, everyone. Sending you so much love. Bye.